I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, February 11th, brought to you in part by Brommagen Commodities. Get a hold of my friend Candy Sullivan there, owner of Brommagen Commodities. She has an office at Bluegrass Stockyards, Lexington, in the brand new exchange building they have there. But she's very mobile and you can get a hold of her anytime you need to. If you need help with your hedging, you have questions about risk management on your cattle, your grain, what have you, if you want to speculate in some ag commodities, whatever you'd like to do, she can help you out. Get a hold of her. You can find ways to get a hold of her at brommagencommodities.com. I'd like to give you guys kind of an Oscars overview of what happened at the awards ceremony on Sunday night, and give you a kind of my perspective of who I think should have won the best actor, or who I think should have had the best movie, or you know, directors awards, different things like that. You guys know I'm full of it. Why would I give you something like that? I know absolutely nothing about it at all. The only movie I saw that was even mentioned during the whole Oscars was The Irishman, and I couldn't even really enjoy that because of the things that Robert De Niro said, and I've lost so much respect for him. But why would I give you something about that when I don't know anything about it? And why would those people that get selected for those awards decide to tell us about things that they have no idea about? So, you know, aside from the political jabs and different things like that, which is one reason that the show runs so long, Joaquin Phoenix there, he decided that he is an authority on animal agriculture. And I know it was more of a jab on milk and the dairy industry than it was cattle, but I think all of us within animal agriculture stand up for ourselves. But he got up there and was making statements about artificial insemination and all these different things that he knows absolutely nothing about. Nothing. And why, just because those people can act out or do things like that, why they think that we need to hear what their perspective is on things, I have no idea. You know, Joaquin Phoenix, great actor, you know, he won the Best Actor award. The only thing I saw he could do was play a young, doped up Johnny Cash, and he pulled that off really well. But it's just unbelievable how people that don't know any more about that stuff than they do decide to use their podium, their soapbox, to tell us about that kind of stuff. And it'd be just like me telling you what I thought about the Academy Awards when I know absolutely nothing about it. And I've thought about that more than just over this, but why are so many of the really talented people in the arts, why are they so hard liberal? And I'm not saying Democrat. There's lots of reasons that people are Democrats. And a lot of our grandparents are Democrats. They're JFK Democrats, and a lot of the younger people are Democrats because of that. The younger people looks like they might get more free stuff, so they want to be a Democrat too. But I'm not saying Democrat, but I'm saying extreme liberal. Why are so many of those really talented people extremely liberal? And I think, and I've thought about it a lot, and I'll just give you my perspective on that, and it's a total perspective, but those people had a hard time getting to where they're at. There's lots of struggling actors, there's lots of struggling artists out there, and they have to get noticed some way, and they're absolutely willing to do anything to get to that point. So they're those kinds of people. And so, you know, if they're going to interview or whatever they call it, and they said, we want you to ride this pogo stick naked. No problem. Where do you want me to do it at? You know, I'm down with it. Whatever you want me to do. And then they say, wait. I would like for you to stick this giant purple feather where the sun don't shine while you're riding the pogo stick naked. No problem. Where do you want me to do it? How long do you want me to ride? That's the kind of people that are really, really talented, and they rise to the top of our arts, because at some point they were willing to do anything. Well, those are the same people that are completely, extremely liberal and then they decide that they're wanting to use that to influence the rest of us normal people on how things should go. It's just as ridiculous as me giving you guys a rundown on the Academy Awards. But let's look at your board for Monday, opening the week. February live cattle futures down $1.02 at 120.30. April down $1.12 at 118.67. March feeder cattle up $0.50 at 135.70, and April up 2 cents at 137.52. Some people are starting to think that maybe this board has been oversold. They absolutely flushed the open interest, so everybody had gotten out, but we haven't seen them come back in. And if this thing's been pushed off too far and oversold, we might see another spark come back in it again. But as we know, we don't have a whole lot to look forward to on this live cattle contract, because we're going to continue to lose ground as we go into our spring and summer months. Our feeder cattle are getting lighter on receipts all the time. So got a lot of cattle in the feedlot, but not very many of them market ready, and not too many of them just went in the last couple of weeks. So as our receipts get lighter, we should start seeing our feeder cattle come back a little bit. And then the out front months, when we get more of these turnout cattle talked about, then they should start picking up too. But you look at the weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle trade direct in your 5-area feeding region, we see that we had a light volume again of 54,800 head compared to 67,000 head the previous week and 76,000 head the same week a year ago. Our live prices on steers and heifers ranged all the way from 118 to 123, mostly 121. And your weighted average on live steers was 121.05, down $1.01, and that's what our live market was. It was fully down $1. Our dress market was down mostly $2, but the weighted average looked a little bit different. Your steers and heifers dress basis bring from 192 to 194. All of them, very narrow range. Hardly any stick out deals on the dress side. That's in the entire 5-area feeding region, mostly 193, and your weighted average on dressed steers was 193.18, but dressed heifers was 193 exactly on the button there. But that 193.18 on dressed steers weighted average was down $1.54, so not fully down the $2 that we saw just on the rounded market there, but sure enough lost some ground, and we hate to keep losing ground whenever we need to hold this thing up as good as we can here before we start delving off in there whenever some of these big numbers that are in the feedlot start to make their way towards the show list. But nationwide, only 70,500 head were sold, negotiated cash, 16% of those for the 15 to 30 day delivery. We want to look as we move forward the next month or two, the packers will start trying to step up the percentage that they buy for the 15 to 30 day delivery, because they know that they're going to be running into a weaker market. They want to turn it off that much more sharply lower. So we'll keep our eye out for that. But reportedly, the supplies that are available for packers to harvest this week are the smallest that we've seen for this week in the last 3 years. So they continue to buy fewer numbers. Your guys that sell formula or negotiated grid, they haven't been really excited about the market, so they haven't been scheduling that many cattle. Not that many cattle out there really for them to work with. And in turn, we saw better grids come out in the Midwest. On your grid prices, the base price was a little bit better than we've seen for the last couple of weeks. You wonder why would they do that when we've lost ground on the market the last few weeks. It's because they're wanting to entice some of those people that just schedule the cattle in to bring them a few more cattle, and they would like to have some of those better quality cattle too, because they're already getting ready for grilling, early grilling and things like that. So they'd like to get a lot of those better quality cuts, harvested up and processed and cryovac and ready to go whenever they need them. But that's kind of where we're at with a lot of cattle in the feedlot, but in the middle of the road here. It takes we used to say 120 days. hardly anybody harvests cattle after 120 days unless they went in really heavy. Most of the time we're looking at 150 days plus now, and a lot of those cattle are midway down the line. So that doesn't really help them if they've got a lot of cattle in, on feed, but they're not on the show list yet, and they're not finished, they're not ready. So we need to try to get that market position back and gain a few dollars before we get to the point where they've got supplies in their favor. So I'd like to talk to you about a DV auction. And you guys know that we're mainly production sale broadcasters. We broadcast a lot of weekly auctions, and we report the market in real time. We give you this market report every day of the business day of the week. But our main deal is production sales. We do a jillion of them. We do more than anybody, and we have for a long time, been doing it longer than anybody else. But DV Auction Production Sale Report, if you look at last week through this past weekend at all the production sales that we had total bids of 3,200 plus bids over DV Auction on site over our DV Auction console, and those would have been online bids. And those total bids added up to $11.3 million. Now the lots that actually sold to a DV auction bidder were 544 lots, added up to nearly $2 million. And that's just what you get if you consign your production sale to DV auction. We've got more registered online buyers than any other service out there. One outfit that did use DV auction is my friend Jim Felton at the Felton Angus Ranch in Springdale, Montana. He had his sale on Monday and got along really well. I tell you what, Jim, I mentioned on the previous report, he's not into the suitcase bulls. You guys asked what the suitcase bulls. I'm talking about the ones that fit in the box that everybody keeps trying to cram down your throat. The more moderate type frame, the lighter muscle, the lesser bone, just the little suitcase bulls that are just square made there, but not very big. No, he's got the big, long, stretchy, rangy, athletic type bulls that can get out in the hard country, make it to the water, get all your cows covered, and do a good job breeding for you. And he handles a lot of them. I've got the averages out of his sale on Monday there. He didn't sell 40 bulls or 50 bulls. He sold 102 two-year-old bulls. They averaged $4,715 a head. And you think, well, that's not that impressive an average. No, he didn't have that lot one where he has a neighbor buy it, you buy my bull and then I'll buy yours when your sale comes up, that brings $30,000 or whatever you want to say that it brought. No, his top bull, he had two bulls bring 10 grand. That was the top bull, and still come up with an average of over 4,700 a head. That gives you an idea that all those bulls were bringing a good price there. He sold 69 of the younger fall bulls, and they averaged $4,025 a head. But all real bidders, real sales, nothing fake about it in any way, shape, or form. But I want to show you this lot number 14 bull. This is one of the bulls that brought $10,000, was not even registered, did not even have EPDs. Just that's the kind of using bulls, phenotypic type bulls. Look at this bull, longer than a well rope, big, rangy, big, nice, impressive looking bull that'll throw calves that you can make weigh 1,600 pounds. Then that's what guys have to try to feed cattle anymore. You can't feed cattle to 12, 12 and a half, even 1,300 and expect to make any money. You've got to take them to those bigger extreme weights, and that's the way the industry is. I know it was that way back in the 80s when we had all these continental breeds that were real popular, but it's gotten back that way now with your European breeds. We've got to have those kind of cattle that you can hang that kind of weight on, and that's what they have at Felton Angus Ranch. But let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction come out Monday evening at $140 even. Now that's based on an 800-pound steer, but it's the average of all your cattle reported. Your steers weighing from 700 to 900 pounds up through the middle 12 states. just like your CME cash feeder cattle index. But $140 even, you don't see that very often, and that just goes to show you most of your 8-weight cattle are bringing in the 130s now. Most of your 7-weight cattle are bringing in the 140s, and if you come out to an average of right around 800 pounds, $140 flat is about what you're looking at. That's down a dime from the end of last week. You look at your CME cash feeder cattle index, it was sitting at $140.41 for Friday. So it's going to be down a little bit after it collects the Monday sales and be right in line with the RTI. But the RTI always runs at least a day ahead. Let's talk about your big high volume sales. OKC, the Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 7,650 head of feeder cattle there, much lighter run, partly due to the market, partly due to the weather. Got another snowstorm coming across here. Going to hit the panhandle here, Texas Panhandle, where I'm at on Monday night. Supposed to be kind of nasty around on Tuesday all day. It'll be going right across the middle part of Oklahoma too. And there's a lot of moisture around. I was in Desdemona, Texas, trying to get some videos bulled for the Rooney Angus Ranch on Monday morning, and rained us out, and so couldn't do a whole lot, and the next 2 days didn't look too good, so I headed back home. I tell you what, going across I-20, Abilene, Texas, places like that, absolutely pouring like an April shower. I mean, just raining hard. And they won't get the big snows, but they did get quite a bit of moisture out of there. Could be a lot of graze out wheat around, guys. But Oklahoma City, your feeder steers steady to $4 lower. Feeder heifers steady to $4 higher. That goes to show your commodity guys, your corporate feeders, they were in the market, and the heifer deals looked like they kind of worked, and maybe the steers didn't. But calves steady to $6 higher. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,800 head there. I want to make a note on Joplin. I did talk about the primetime video that was going to be happening on February the 20th there. They have moved that off of the casino there. They're going to wait and do that the next month, because with the way this coronavirus has come in, the way the board's been down pretty hard, they had a lot of guys that had spring delivery there on those cattle, and they kind of just wanted to put them off for a later sale. So they're going to have their big spring fling later on in March, and the next primetime video sale they'll have will just be there on site at Joplin Regional Stockyards facility. But Joplin had 4,800 head for Monday. Your calves weighing under 6, steady to $5 higher. Your middleweight type calves that could go either way depending on condition, 600 to 700 pound steer and heifer calves, steady to $2 higher. And those feeder cattle weighing over 700 pounds, $2 to $3 lower. And I like the way that Rick Huffman did that, because that's kind of the way that your trends fall a lot of times when you're in market conditions like you are right now. Look at Russell, Iowa, Russell Livestock. It was mostly lower except for particular weights of heifers, but you look at these strings of steers here, and these are load lots or bigger of steers out of Russell, Iowa on Monday. My top sale there that I see is 57 head, 671 pound steers, bring $159.35, and that was the top on load lots. I had some smaller deals that weighed just over 6.5, might have been a little bit better than that. But the top sale I saw on Monday was out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales, Aberdeen, South Dakota. That's the one out on the highway. 66 head, 836 pound steers, bring $144.75. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.